Hey George,
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain.
So, yeah, thanks for taking the time. I had a quick look through your website. I see that you do a combination of HubSpot and public speaking, which is pretty awesome. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, well, I do a lot with HubSpot. I build a brand inside of HubSpot. Um, I basically started professional speaking when I worked with Marcus Sheridan, who wrote the book They Ask You Answer, and would
Hmm.
go and speak on stages about marketing and sales and all that good stuff.
And I think that's probably what explained. Like, I'm basically looking to do a bit of co-branding with fellow agencies. Like, we work sort of in a partner agreement with lots of different agencies where we sort of co-sell and we do projects together where our sort of skills cross over to meet whatever like a particularly complex client needs and stuff like that. I'm sort of trying to venture into the idea of doing a bit of like co-marketing as well and doing some interviews and looking at sort of the HubSpot ecosystem and trends and where we think it's going in the future and things like that. So just wanted to see if that's something you're open to and um, discuss it a little bit, basically.
Yeah, well, the original outreach was Nicola, I believe, and it was that he had talked to Ben and that you guys had wanted to do an interview.
Mm,
So that was my response to like, well, get this in my inbox, and if you want to do an interview, then I'm down to do an interview.
awesome. So let's start. So tell me a little bit about your business. What do you specialize in?
So at Sidekick Strategies, we specialize in helping humans with HubSpot.
Hmm.
And when I say that, what I mean is anything from HubSpot training. So we do individual training for organizations. We also have the super admin training, which is where if you're trying to go from maybe a intermediate to advanced user and you have multiple hubs, we do that. We also do HubSpot implementation. This is everything from CRM build outs to building websites on the CMS, or AKA the new content hub that HubSpot has released. Um, it- Anything doing with marketing automation, lead nurturing, lead scoring, trying to get sales and marketing and service teams to work as close knit families instead of
Mm.
disparate departments. Pretty much all of that fits in the bucket of what we do.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I totally get that sort of full approach and the idea of having a bit more human involvement to that. Like a lot of those onboarding projects that we've had, the implementation, the technical side of it has been sometimes less important than getting the teams to work cohesively and to get them on board with all the change that's going to happen around that. Um, so, can you tell me a little bit about like how you got involved in HubSpot originally? What got you excited about working with HubSpot?
Yeah, absolutely. So before HubSpot, which would have been pre 2012, I was a web dev guy, meaning design development. You know, a pizza and a six pack of Coke would come in one side and a website would come out the other. In 2012, our social media guy for this small agency that I worked for in Massillon, Ohio, called Wild Boy Design, came running in the door and he looked at the owner and myself and said, "Hey, we got to watch this world's largest webinar by a company called HubSpot." And we immediately were like, "A what, by who?" And so we went into the main area and we turned on the TV and launched the webinar. And it was the first time I got a chance to hear Mark Killens and Sarah Bedrick and Chris LaDolce, the original OGs of the HubSpot Academy, talking about HubSpot. And during that webinar, they said, "Hey, we're going to give 10 free tickets to the top 5% of tweeters," back when Twitter was Twitter and now X. And the owner, Zach, was kind of just sitting back, not doing much. I was sitting back just watching the webinar. But our social media guy, his fingers were on fire. Make a long story short, we ended up winning two tickets. And so
Oh
Zach and
wow.
I flew to Boston in 2012 and went to inbound for the first time. We heard HubSpot saying, "Don't call me customer, or call me human." And that was something I could get behind. There was just something that I just fundamentally enjoyed about that. It could be because I'm a recovering youth pastor before going tech nerd. but I was like, oh, I like this idea of like call them humans, treat them like a human. And got to hear Gary Vaynerchuk for the speak for the first time, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that. I want to be on that stage. I want to educate people. I want to know what this HubSpot and this inbound marketing thing is. So we came back in September 2012. We got HubSpot. I started attending webinars. HubSpot Academy started releasing certifications. And over the past 12 years, we've gone from, one certification to 3 to 6 to have had up to 42 HubSpot certifications. I'm a HubSpot accredited trainer. Worked for 3 different HubSpot agencies over the time frame. Actually 4 if you call Wild Boy Design, but Wild Boy Design, the sales line with Marcus Sheridan, who wrote the book They Ask, You Answer, Bob Ruffalo at Impact Brand and Design, and then Remington Begg and Rachel Begg at Impulse Creative. But over that time, I basically would create video tutorials. So in 2014, Marcus was like, hey, I think there's 2 things we need to do. We need to start a podcast. So we started the Hubcast, which, by the way, was the first HubSpot specific podcast on the planet. We started doing that, gained some traction. HubSpot users loved what we were doing. It was kind of like the peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter and chocolate. Marcus being a professional speaker, me being the HubSpot nerd. And in 2014, he also said, I think you should do videos. And so I started doing HubSpot tutorials. And over the last 12 years, I've probably done well over 3,000 HubSpot tutorials, had multiple different YouTube channels. And so I was able to build a brand inside the ecosystem where June of 2022, launched out on my own as a solopreneur. That lasted all of about maybe a year-ish. I just knew the universe was saying, hey, I didn't want to be an agency, but the universe was saying you need to be an agency. Because one day I looked around and I had hired 2 of my sons, 2 of my daughters, my wife, had 3 contractors and a full-time employee, and was like, I'm not a solopreneur anymore. We should probably just show up as who we actually are. And so we launched April of this year, 2024, sidekickstrategies.com, which is our agency website. And so, you can go to George B. Thomas. There's still some leftovers of that being the place that people used to go for the agency services, but you can still go there and you can figure out, this guy's a professional speaker. Oh, this guy has a personal growth podcast called Beyond Your Default. Oh, this guy owns an agency called Sidekick Strategies. And so I'm having a lot of fun. We're doing a lot of things. And honestly, what's fun, James, is it all goes back to, hey guys, we got to watch this world's largest webinar by a company called HubSpot. A what? By who?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I can see that you really feel passionate about the training aspects and the learning side of things around HubSpot. Like, what would you say are the biggest problems that you're trying to solve for the clients you have these days? Now you've made that move from solopreneur to being an agency.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things. We can go down the technical route or we can go down the human route, because for me, it is all about the humans. And that's probably problem number 1 is, a lot of organizations are out there marketing and selling to inanimate buildings. And that just doesn't work. Like, you have to market and sell to the humans. And that means your process needs to be set up in a human first way. Your core values, your philosophies, your methodologies have to be pointed to a human first direction. And so part of what we do is just this idea of like, how do you put your customer hat on? How do you create a voice of customer? How do you really focus on servanthood over sales? How do you build brands through creating valuable content, whether it be textual content, video content, audio content? But how are you showing up and making the world better? And then we tie it into, and this is how we do that with HubSpot. The problems haven't changed. The way that we can solve them and the way that we can talk about them have. But at the end of the day, you're an organization that wants more eyeballs so that you can get more leads, so that you can drive more sales, and hopefully keep as many people in the room that is your business, your solutions to the hurdles or aspirations that they have. And so trying to keep the back door closed where they're not just escaping out the back door. So, well, that's marketing, that's sales, that's service. And what's funny is a lot of people, when it could be a one-room log cabin and everybody could see what's happening, they separate the room with blankets and they do their little sales thing on the sales side and their little marketing thing in the marketing side and their little service thing. And so with us, we're like HubSpot, all employees on one platform, process all in one platform. And now all of a sudden there's this visibility, this streamline effect, this communication. And honestly, I think one of the things that people pay me for, but they don't realize that they're paying me for, is just enabling internal conversations to actually take place that otherwise would not happen, because we like to ask the questions that might take people into uncomfortable positions, but at least it breaks through those barriers and then we can do business in a better way, business in a more human way.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. I mean, how many projects do you go into where they just don't have a sales process in place, or there's just no connection between any of the teams? You just gotta try and build that with them. That's what HubSpot really enables them to do, because they have a structure for that to work with.
Yep, absolutely.
So looking at where we are today, because obviously HubSpot is developing massively. There's new features coming out every other week. What do you think are the trends are around HubSpot at the moment that your clients are really picking up on or really want to get your help with?
Well, I think there's a whole new world that is happening inside of the HubSpot ecosystem around the AI tools. I mean, AI is a big buzzword. AI can be revolutionary. AI can be a godsend. AI can't be an easy button. And so right now there is this kind of movement where every SaaS software known to man is doubting their, or kind of screaming from the mountaintops, they're like AI features. So there's a lot of folks who are like, well, what about this? What about that? And sometimes we lose our minds and we like go to AI and forget all about the strategies and the best practices and the mindsets that we've known for years. But trending is, how do we use AI tools for everything from process to reporting to content creation? You know, one of my favorite kind of new tools in HubSpot is Remix, and the ability to do what I love to call content confetti, where you can take a piece of content you created and now you can create more pieces of content based on that, or to help assist promote in that. And it's really cool. It's a good use case. One of the things that I get worried about with AI is this idea that you can, in the enterprise level, add your brand voice. The reason I get worried about this is because I think if you polled a room of 100 people that work for an organization and asked them what the brand voice is, you'd get 89 different answers. And so how are we going to actually get the right brand voice into the AI so when we are generating content, it does sound like us and doesn't sound like a dumb robot? Because as soon as it sounds like a dumb robot, well, we officially lose trust. And when we lose trust, we've now added friction to the sales process. And so, you know, it's again, if you look for an easy button and you're in HubSpot and you go, oh, let's add our brand voice, we're these 3 things because it took us 30 seconds to set it up. And now all of a sudden the next 10, 20, 30 pieces are just total garbage pieces that you're putting out into the world. That speed, that easy button has done you a massive disservice. So we're literally in this fight to talk to folks about how to use AI in a human way, how to use it in the proper way. And honestly, that's one of the things that I'm speaking at Inbound 24 is literally how to humanize your AI content in this kind of harmonious relationship that can occur if you stop, slow down to speed up and strategize, and understand truly how to use it or how to think about it. But you know, you can't talk about what's trending with HubSpot and not talk about the AI features. Everything from AI in workflows, AI in reporting, AI in building a website page. And like AI in content creation. Like almost every part of HubSpot has some element of AI in it at this point.
When you're talking about AI with your clients, like, is there a place where you tell them to draw the line? Like, how do you teach them to get use out of that, but not to let that completely ruin their actual marketing and sales collateral and strategy?
Yeah, well, one rule for us is we always talk about AI. The words I use most is it's a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, you're going to use AI for HubSpot reporting. Sweet, that's a starting point. But now look at what it spit out and ask yourself, is it even right? Or should I have been using a different property to get the data, to get the insights? Like, am I asking the right question? Have I prompted it in the right way? Do I know enough to actually ask the right question? Because it can only give me answers based on what I'm asking. And so there's like, hey, listen, you can play around with it. You can use it. You can probably get great at it, but realize it's a starting point, and then we need to finesse it from there. And I mean on everything. That's reporting. That's if you generated AI workflow actions. If you generated a blog with AI, this is a starting point. Now, here are the XYZ ways that we need to humanize that, or the XYZ ways that we need to dissect that and look at it from different directions and make sure we're not just kind of fumbling our way through this journey of, oh, that's what it says, that must be the truth. It's like the commercial, like, it's on the internet, it's true. No, it's not. It's AI, it must be right. No, maybe not. So that's kind of how we go with that. Is it's always a starting point, and humans need to finish it off to be what it needs to be.
Yeah, no, totally get you there. I mean, it is so much harder looking at just a blank page and trying to work from nothing, but at least you have something to get started. You can critique that and really evaluate it. That's a really good point. But
Yep.
yeah, doing it with a workflow, like, I mean, if you think of the intricacy of some of the workflows we sometimes build for something very niche, like trying to get an AI to actually write something like that and understand the intricacies of what it's trying to do, definitely don't just switch that on. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So obviously, yeah, AI is the main trending topic at the moment. Like, a lot of people are saying that's going to be the future and that's where things are going to lead. What are your thoughts, not just in AI, but generally about what the future is going to be, CRMs, particularly HubSpot?
Well, I mean, I know they'll continue to create more updates. I know they'll continue to iterate. I know they'll continue to add more integrations into the marketplace. It's interesting though, if you kind of pay attention to what's been happening the last couple of things. For instance, the Commerce Hub is now in HubSpot. Like, I can remember days of dreaming if there was going to be like an e-commerce version. Now they've changed HubSpot CMS to HubSpot Content Hub, right? And so if you pay attention to, they're creating this Content Hub now, which is a CMS and a mix of some other AI tools, and podcasting is now in HubSpot, which, by the way, is, I think, it's the sleeping giant right now. Like, it's in a beta version. There's a lot of work to be done, but in the future, when I think of a world where you could have your podcast hosting on top of your business CRM, there are some real exciting things that could start to happen there if they build that tool out properly. But now you start to think about that. Well, if I have a podcast on my CRM that also is a commerce hub, that also gives me the ability to make a blog that could be the podcast show notes, how easy is it to create a paid podcast that people could actually subscribe to right in HubSpot, that's hosted in HubSpot, that I can see the reporting in HubSpot, right? And so you have to think about this idea, and I think this is where I want to go as far as like another trending thing is, we humans love to buy stuff without needing to talk to anybody. And HubSpot is literally giving us the tools to do B2B commerce, right? Meaning, I want you to come to my website. If you need consulting hours, you can pay for them right now. If you want to get a seat to our new training course, You can buy them right now. Do I give you an option to talk to me if you have questions? Yes, but I am not the bottleneck. I am not the hurdle. The organization structure is not the hurdle for you to spend money with us. Meaning there's a lot of organizations out there, James, that love to apply generously, for some reason, buyer repellent. And I just don't get that, because buyer repellent is not what your organization should be doing. You should be making sure the bearings are greased. You should make sure it's easy for people to buy from you. And so if you start to think about the content hub and what you can create in the commerce hub and how people could pay for it, and the sales and service and kind of operations pieces that can plug underneath there, the engine, being able to run an entire business on one software in multiple departments, and really streamline the customer experience. Okay. Now, where I'm getting to is this becomes the whole thing a customer platform, because you are creating a customer experience on one platform that is very streamlined, very open for everybody to understand and see. This moves that, and that begot that, that begot that. And so I think this idea of HubSpot because I believe we've hubbed ourselves to death, by the way. Marketing hub, sales hub, service hub, operations hub, commerce hub, like content hub. But the idea of being able to talk to somebody about it's a customer platform, and it helps all of these departments create the best customer experience and buying experience possible. Well, that simplifies the complex, and people can just get behind it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it is true that there are definitely a hell of a lot of hubs right now. But do you think that there are any particular areas of HubSpot that are lacking and that should be in there to give it a full customer sphere of influence?
Yeah, if I had to put my maybe it's look at my crystal ball, right? If I had to look at my crystal ball and think about the future, like where would HubSpot go next? There's two things that interest me that I think would be interesting. One, with the Commerce Hub, there is a definite reason to add something that is around enabling business owners and accountants or accounting firms to work better together. So if I lean into that and I think about what that means, I start to wonder if there'll ever be like an HR hub, right? Like a imagine it'd be a humans hub, right? Because now all of a sudden we're dealing with the actual internal humans of HubSpot. And it's like, here's the permission sets for your accountants, and here's the things that you can attach to the employees that happen to be contacts in HubSpot. And so like my brain goes in that direction of like, I wonder if that's an element or piece that will show up. It feels like it would be far away, but hey, I remember a day when if somebody said, oh, e-commerce in HubSpot, you'd be like, nah, it's never going to happen. So like, I've learned not to say that, but an HR element. And also that leads us into, which just recently, you can have some encrypted data. They're still not HIPAA compliant, but I think that we're working into a world where all of a sudden HubSpot is HIPAA compliant, or whatever version of compliancy you need to have. I think that leans into a world where there's an HR hub, it's compliant, the data is encrypted, and now we open up a whole new sector of types of businesses that we could actually be helping to use HubSpot for what they're doing.
Yeah. There's some interesting theories, actually. Like, we have had quite a few customers as well that have, once they've got all their marketing, sales and service in place, have thought, well, can we put our recruitment process in HubSpot? And that's usually then a catalyst for, can we do our performance reviews and things like that? And yeah, you're right. Like, if you're using it as a hub for humans, essentially, why not think about it for your internals as well? I mean, it could form on the same foundations. So yeah, very interesting idea.
Yep. We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah. It could be anything. So George, you said that you're going to be speaking at Inbound soon. What are you going to be talking about there?
Yep. So literally talking about harmonizing AI content and the human effect. So gonna be going over kind of the steps that one might want to take, the things that one might want to know, and the way that you can generate content for humans that sounds human, feels human, looks human. And what's funny is I'm basically I've been helping humans with HubSpot for the last 12 years. I've been nerding out on AI and AI content for the last year and a half. And now I get to step on stage and be like, and here's how these two things collide in perfect harmony. And what's real fun is I have some use cases that we've been working on that actually show the success of being able to do this. So, we have a new domain name, sidekickstrategies.com. We have new content that we're putting on there. We're using AI to start or edit or different elements of the process. And we also have pages that are already ranking in Google, and this is a brand new site. And it is AI assisted. Here's the thing too that I'll throw in here, because there's a thing that I'm seeing in the way that people are messaging, not only just HubSpot, but just in general. There's a lot of, if you look around, people saying AI powered CRM and AI powered whatever it is. I think they've got it wrong. And I'm just going to step out on a limb, because the way that I always phrase it when I hear it is I say, listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's human powered AI assisted. That's the mindset that we have to have. And that's the mindset that I'm going to show, and the techniques that I'm going to show at Inbound is like, here's how you have human powered AI assisted content creation harmony that gets you the content that you can create in the way that you should be creating it, that gives the most value for the humans that need it.
Oh, I love that. I love that use of the word harmony as well. Like, I mean, when I've been speaking to other agencies over the past few weeks, like there have been so many like polar views around AI and whether it's actually the be-all end-all solution or whether it's going to be an absolute disaster. But yeah, if we make it down to Inbound, I'll definitely come and take a look into that, because that sounds like it'd be a really interesting topic.
Oh, we're going to have fun. I already have an AI generated slide that is potentially a really large poop emoji that I'm going to use in probably the first 4 or 5 slides of my presentation deck to talk about how most humans use AI today.
Wow. I love that. I cannot wait, to be honest, to watch that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, George, for taking us through all of that. It was really insightful. And yeah, I hope we can get to meet again, hopefully at Inbound soon.
Absolutely. That would be a blast.
All right, awesome. Take care. Bye-bye.
You bet.